Hi everyone, welcome to part one of our new subject, communication style in Korea. So let's get started. In today's lesson, we will cover non-direct speaking, which is the type of communication that is mainly used here in Korea. Let us dive deeper into the subject. In Korea, the non-direct, indirect speaking is the major type of communication. Today, I want to go through with you a little bit about the background and why is it that in Korea non-direct speaking is very popular. And in one word, I would say it's related to the culture and the history and the values that Korean people raised with. So all of those together really created this indirect speaking. And what are we talking about? First of all, this is society based on Confucianism. There are a lot of implementations to Confucianism in society, and one of them is also the style of communication and the way we talk to each other. If you remember, we covered in our subject Basic Manners the fact that Confucianism has different relationships and hierarchy is very important. Harmony is very important. And society structure might be a little bit different from what we used to. Also, another important part is the we culture. We will cover the we culture a little bit later in the course, but basically we is the opposite of individual, of me. The perspective of Korean culture is a collective perspective. It's collective society. The next point is drawn from both of those factors, and it is the fact that hurting others considered as one of the worst things to do. So hurting somebody is disrespectful. It can hurt the harmony in society. It might indicate that I have a problem to adjust to society. It might indicate many negative things. So this is why hurting somebody else is one of the worst negative things. Those three would lead to basically communication when we always consider other in mind, because we are part of a we culture. We always consider somebody else in mind, not just us. We're considering our group, the situation, the way that we talk. We have all these considerations in mind. And also we are being careful with words. We are being careful of our facial expressions. We are being careful with our body language and with our behavior. And obviously, naturally, because we are always careful and because we consider other people when we're communicating, we will speak indirectly. Because while we're speaking directly, it can cause somebody else to be hurt. And that's a quick view of the background. Again, this does not cover the whole reasons, but I want to introduce the basic background. When we see this, we can understand why indirect communication style is so easy and comfortable to use with those circumstances. So where can we meet this indirect speaking? First, Koreans might imply what they want and not really saying it directly. So to share with you one of my examples, I went with my Korean colleague to a restaurant to eat dinner, and while we were sitting, they were playing a song. And my colleague, he said, "Oh, I really like this song, and this song always makes me feel good and wanna enjoy life and dancing and singing," something like that. And I said, "Wow, that's great, that's a really nice song." And we just moved on. What I didn't pick up at the time, but came to know just later, is that my colleague actually wanted to go after dinner to have fun. For example, go to a karaoke room or go enjoy something. But I couldn't pick it up because it was just implying. I was just focusing on the content of the words and I couldn't see through the meaning that he's trying to tell me. So that is, for example, something that can happen. Another way of speaking that you may encounter a lot would be asking questions. So it is not for every question and not all the time, but Koreans were asking you a question first just because they want to do it or they need to do something. For example, let's say in our office we have one meeting room for one team to use, and let's say the team is about 20 people sitting together. In this case, what we can see is when Koreans need to use the room, they will ask first people, "Does anyone need to use the conference room?" In that case, they don't really need to know if anyone needs to use it. They want to use it, but they want to make sure that this way, when they're asking other people first, people will understand that they are going to use the room. So instead of just going to the room, although it's empty, they will ask first, and based on other people's answer, then they will act accordingly. Great, how about a quick exercise? Let's say your team member wants you to write a report by today. What do you think can be a possible way for your team member, which is Korean, to ask you to do that? You can pause the video and think for a while. Now, there is no right or wrong answers because there are thousands of ways that it can be asked. I just want to provide a couple of answers just to you to understand what we are talking about. So the first option can be maybe asking other people first. So asking you first. I remember we have a report due by this week. Do you remember? And by doing so, your Korean team member, they don't directly tell you that because they consider maybe you already did it. Maybe you forgot about it. Maybe you remember different thing. So first they just want to see what is the situation. And after your answer, there will be the beginning of the dialogue. So that can be the first answer. The second answer is a little bit more elaborate and full and have a lot of information. But even that style or this kind of answer is definitely possible to come across when working with your Korean partner. And it can be something like that. To my memory, we have very important presentation this week. I think it can be nice if we prepare all the documents as soon as possible. Now they can add what do you think or not. But in this kind of situation, when you have a lot of information, it is very difficult to go from this to writing a report by today. However, if we try to break down the meaning and not necessarily only the content, we can see that the focus of the sentence is about the documents. So this kind of question or this kind of saying is leading for your answer of, oh, what kind of documents are you talking about? Or, oh, I remember that the report I had to do, I actually did it and it's ready on my desk. So this kind of very detailed and overwhelmed with information, then maybe we don't need, or maybe it's not serving the purpose. This is the non-direct way to say what's on your mind or to ask for something. Again, this is a generalization and it doesn't mean that all the time you will encounter, but this kind of non-direct speaking is still the main communication style in Korea. And when you're doing business with Koreans or when you have Korean partners, suppliers, you're working with Koreans as colleagues, you might encounter that as well. And also this knowledge will help us bridge any gap that we will have in communication style, and we will touch upon that on the next part. So this is the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope your learning experience is becoming deeper one step at a time. And I will see you in the next part.